This story is part of our Second Chances collection. Head to our website to read more stories just like this one. The first thing visitors usually asked him was, "Did you find her?" And the second, "What was she like?" Olivia, well, he'd found her all right, though whether he ever truly knew her well enough to answer that question, that was another matter entirely. Back then, his drawings had been filled with confidence, quick lines, bold colors, a reflection of the way she'd moved through the world. Maybe it wasn't about capturing her essence, about painting the portrait she once wanted. Maybe it was about portraying the effect she'd had on him, the way she'd illuminated his life, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. He picked up a brush, dipped it in a vibrant shade of blue, the color of twilight and possibility, and began to paint. Not her, but the feeling she evoked, the echoes of her laughter, the ghost of her touch, the memory of her being. In creating this masterpiece, he'd uncovered a piece of himself, too. A part of him that he'd buried under layers of grief, guilt, and regret. Perhaps it was meant to remain his secret, a private dialogue between him and his long-lost love. Dusk was settling over the Parisian rooftops, turning the sky into a palette of deep purples and fiery oranges. As he walked along the Seine, the gentle lapping of the water against the banks harmonizing with the distant hum of the city, he felt a sense of calm he hadn't experienced in years. He was lost in this world of music until a song came to an end, drawing him back to the present. The applause was enthusiastic, but to him it sounded distant, muffled. But he remained seated, still listening, for the music didn't end when the notes faded. In the heart of Paris, surrounded by the ghosts of laughter and love, he found solace not in forgetting, but in remembering. It lingered in the air, weaving its magic, keeping the memories alive. To him, this club wasn't just a venue, it was a repository of memories, a keeper of dreams. Every corner resonated with echoes of laughter, of conversations whispered, of hopes shared. It was here, in the heart of Paris, that he'd met Olivia, and in the music he heard the whispers of her love, the melody of their shared past, the harmony of their bond. He was still immersed in the memory of sound, the echo of a shared passion. Paris was alive with music tonight. A street musician's accordion drifted from an open window, mingling with the melody of a distant violin. He sipped his drink, the bitter taste mingling with the bitter sweetness of nostalgia, and he thought of Olivia. How she'd loved jazz, how they'd come to this very club on a first date, how the music had been their shared language, expressing what words couldn't. He remembered how she'd swayed to the melody, how her eyes had shone with a joy that mirrored his own. The air vibrated with life, with stories waiting to be discovered. But as he gazed at her image, he knew that in creating this artwork, he'd paid homage to the one who had touched his soul, the one who had shown him the true meaning of love and art. Pushing open the door, he was enveloped by the rich tapestry of sound. The rhythmic pulse of drums, the soulful note of the saxophone, the mellow tones of the double bass, weaving together a musical narrative that spoke to his very core. He found a small table in the corner, allowing himself to be lost in the music in the moment. Each note resonated within him, echoing the journey of his heart, the highs, the lows, the quiet spaces filled with unspoken words. He looked at the finished portrait, his Olivia bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, and he saw not just the woman he'd loved, but the inspiration that had fueled his art, the muse that had breathed life into his talent. Now his strokes were hesitant, unsure, mirroring the uncertainty he felt about her, about everything. He painted the angular lines of her shoulders, the graceful curve of her neck, the tilt of her chin that hinted at both fragility and strength. With each brushstroke, he neared completion, nearing a resolution, not just in the painting, but in himself, too. It struck him like a sudden gust of wind, sharp and clear. He needed an anchor, something to ground the painting, to give it depth and meaning. An idea sparked, igniting his passion. He grabbed a piece of charcoal, and with a few deft strokes, he added a book to her outstretched hand, its pages open, inviting, symbolizing her love for literature, for stories, for the written word. He stepped back, letting his eyes linger over the completed work. It was more than a portrait. It was a testament to the enduring power of love, of loss, of memory. He'd captured not just her likeness, but the essence of their bond, the intangible threads that connected them even in her absence. He could almost feel her presence beside him, her spirit hovering, her essence inspiring. He rendered the depths of her eyes, pools reflecting starlight where dreams danced and secrets lay, and in her hair, a riot of curls. He depicted a tempest of emotions, the wild abandon of her spirit, the tangled complexity of their love. It had been 7 years since he, been a wide-eyed art student, and she, come to him in the form of a breath of fresh air. Bold, impulsive, unpredictable. He'd met her at one of those underground parties in warehouses on the outskirts of the city. He'd been drawn to her like a moth to a flame, captivated by her laughter, her spirit, her untamed essence. She'd been a whirlwind in his carefully ordered world, sweeping him off his feet with her unconventionality. At the time, he'd thought he was doing exactly what she was. Now, 7 years later, he stood in front of the easel, brush poised over the canvas, attempting to capture her image, or what he remembered of it. He shut his eyes, trying to conjure up a memory, a distinct image, anything that could help him get past this artistic block. He thought back to their favorite spot, the abandoned observatory perched atop the city's highest hill. They used to go there for picnics, sharing dreams and ambitions beneath the watchful gaze of ancient stars. He remembered how she'd traced constellations on his arm with her finger, how she'd shown him a whole universe hidden within the lines of his palm. She'd loved stargazing. Hadn't she once told him that when she felt lost, she looked to the stars for guidance, finding comfort in their constancy, their eternal dance in the velvet expanse? He smiled faintly. Her spirit shone brighter than any star. How could he have forgotten that? He opened his eyes, the faint smile still gracing his lips. As he worked, memories unfolded on the canvas like the chapters of a beloved book, each stroke bringing her closer, each hue telling a story of their shared past. In the quiet solitude of his studio, he poured his heart onto the canvas, giving form to the intangible, substance to the ephemeral. Then he stopped. Something was missing, a crucial element that would breathe life into the portrait, making it more than just a pretty picture. What was it? He signed the painting with a flourish, a sense of satisfaction settling over him. He wasn't sure if he'd ever show this painting to anyone, if he'd ever let anyone else see the intimate details, the hidden meanings. He packed his bag, careful not to disturb the sleeping kitten curled up inside. He found his favorite jazz club tucked away on a quiet side street, its warm lights spilling out onto the pavement. When the music swelled, he closed his eyes, picturing her, Olivia, enthroned on a cloud of sound, her laughter echoing in the brassy interludes, her spirit dancing in the syncopated rhythms. As the night deepened, the music continued, carrying him on its currents, taking him to places where time stood still and memories bloomed anew. The set came to an end, and the room buzzed with conversation, with the clinking of glasses. And as the night wore on, as the music flowed through him, he knew that while the memories might ache, they were also a testament to the enduring power of love.